So here are today's learning objectives. We're going to learn about the cost for the visa, travel documents required, time limit to work in the country, spouse, partner, common law, same-sex partner working in the same country, implications for spouse partners who are in common law or same-sex relationships, and limitation issues for working in the country. First things first, it's hard for a foreigner to work in Indonesia because the company must prove why they need a foreign specialist. Also, be in possession of a passport that is valid for at least 6 months from the date of arrival. You are not allowed to be employed in Indonesia on a business visa. You would need an IMTA and a KITA. If you are planning to bring over your spouse or children who are moving with KITA's holders in Indonesia, you would need a dependent KITA for them. So what is the difference between IMTAs and KITAs? The difference would be that IMTAs are for foreigners who wants to work in Indonesia, while KITAs are for foreigners who wants to stay in Indonesia. So you have two options. You can either do all the documents by yourself, or you get a consultant firm to do it. If you're doing option one, you will need to submit a bunch of paperwork to immigration services in order to receive a telex. The documents required in order to receive a telex would be a color scan of passport, should include data pages and all pages with the stamp, the validity of at least 18 months. You would also need a color scan of resume stamped by the company and signed by the director on Ontario 6000 stamp. You would also need a color scan of university certificate or higher education degree in English or Bahasa Indonesia, stamped by the company and signed by the director on Ontario 6000 stamp. You would also need a work certificate of a minimum 5 years, health insurance, and photo size at 3 to 4 centimeters and 4 to 6 centimeters, each size 4 pages with a red background. Documents your family members would need would be a color scan of passport, should include data pages of all pages with a stamp, a certificate of marriage in English or Bahasa Indonesia. You would also need a certificate of birth in English or Bahasa Indonesia. You'd also need a photo size that's 3 by 4 centimeters or 4 by 6 centimeters in each size, 4 pieces with a red background. You would also need PITAs for students as well. Once you're finished with your telex, then you will receive a visas. A visa on arrival for 30 days would be $45. A visa for 6 months would be $70, and a visa for 1 year would be $135. If you overstay under 60 days, it will cost $28 per day. Once you enter Indonesia with the visas, it will then be converted into a KITA, but then there will be a slight change. What is the change you're thinking of? In the transition to an online system, immigration authorities will no longer issue physical cards representing stay permits, which are KITAs. Applicants will instead receive their stay permit by emails and will need to print them out and carry them at all times. So here are the costs for electronic and non-electronic KITAs. As you see, electronic KITAs for 6 months would be $60, and for a year it would be $93. For non-electronic KITAs, it would be 6 months, it would be $42, while for the year it would be $74. Thereafter, you would need a multiple exit re-entry permit. The cost for 6 months would be $60, while the cost for a year would be $90. So if you're considering doing option 2 with a consultant, here's an example of which I found, which is provided by AJ Consultants. The KITAs in the work permit package will cost you around $890, and it involves the handling of the following documents. As you see right here is the Foreign Worker Placement Plan, which is the RPTKA, the recommendations for work permit durations, approval visas, IMTAs, KITAs card, and immigration reporting. You would also receive STM, SKA-PPS, SKTT, and also multiple exit re-entry permits. For the dependent KITAs package, it will cost you around $700 and involves the handling of the following documents. You receive and approved visas, which is the visas, KITAs card, and immigration reporting. You would also receive STM, SKPPS, and SKTT. You'd also receive a multiple exit re-entry permit. So if you're wondering what is the time limit to work in the country, it would be between 6 to 12 months. For those that are wondering if your spouse or partner or common law or same-sex partner can work in the country, well, the answer is for a spouse-sponsored KITA-P permanent stay permit, which is valid for 5 years, you should be married for at least 2 years. However, if you have a KITA-P sponsored by your spouse, you're allowed to work as an independent consultant. If your spouse starts working for a company, they will need to obtain a working KITA sponsored by the company and give up their spouse KITAs. Are there implications for spouse partners who are in common law or same-sex relationships? Unmarried cohabiting cohabitating couples or those engaging in extramarital sex could be prosecuted only if it's a complaint from a close relative. Under the proposals, those found guilty of a public act of gay sex could be sentenced up to 9 years if they have evidence of abuse or video if the act is published. Heterosexual couples who found living without being married could face up to 6 months in prison and 2 years if engaging in sex outside marriage. So what are the limitations and issues for working in Indonesia? Usually younger expats are usually found as working as English teachers, while older professionals are often employed as consultants, engineers, and developers in industries like mining, oil, and gas. So what are the requirements to work in Indonesia as an expatriate? Well, you will need to have an appropriate educational qualifications for the position. You will also need a certificate of competency or at least 5 years of work experience relevant to the position. You must provide a statement letter describing how the mandatory transfer of knowledge and skills to the Indonesia counterparts will be effected and evidenced by training reports. You must provide an evidence of insurance policy with an Indonesian insurance entity and hold an Indonesian taxpayer registration number, which is the NPWP. Also need to be enrolled in a national social security system if they have been working in Indonesia for more than 6 months. The ratio back then was 3 to 1. Under the new regulations, however, an employer of expatriates must now have at least 10 Indonesian employees for each expatriate that is hired. The 10 to 1 ratio does not apply to the following expatriates positions: directors and commissioners of an Indonesian company, or the members of the boards of patrons, management, and supervisors of an Indonesian foundation. Expatriates employed for emergency and urgent work, expatriates employed for entertainment services, or expatriates employed for temporary work. Well, that's all for today. If you have any questions, please comment below and I'll be able to answer any questions that you may have.